Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. My wife Krista and I went to see the movie Air on Saturday night. This week we moved our date night to Saturday. So we did something. We don't do it a lot. We'll see a movie maybe once every couple of months, but we decided to go see the movie Air. It's the Michael Jordan Nike story with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Really, really excellent show. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I love going to the theater and the entire experience with the reclining chairs, and we had our food brought to us, and it was just really a great time. So Krista and I started dating my wife 2 years ago, and it's shown me the power of dating your wife, scheduling one thing per week, whether it's a long walk, whether it's a picnic, whether it's going for a drive, whether it's playing a sport together, whether it's going to the movies like we did on Saturday, whether it's going out to dinner. It's just the incredible power of a scheduled date night, and I call it dating your wife. 2 years ago, Krista and I were having some issues in terms of connection. There was just something off in our marriage. We weren't communicating like we normally do. We weren't on the same page. We were struggling in terms of communication. And then I decided, I took my own advice and we started scheduling Wednesday date nights. And you don't have to spend any money, and you don't have to go out to fancy dinners or anything like that. I found that when we mix it up, that's when it's the most fun. So it's something that we started doing 2 years ago, and I can't recommend it enough. It's the difference between good morning. It's the difference between winning and losing when it comes to your relationship with your queen. We live such busy, hectic lives that sometimes we meet in the hallways. We're on different schedules. We're not always mentally present. We're working long hours, and just taking that 2 hours per week, whether it's a weeknight or on a Saturday or a Sunday, and just, putting the phones away and just being present with the most important people in your life. In this case, your best friend, your secret weapon, your queen. Man, that's your ride or die partner. That's who you've decided to invest your life with. She's decided to invest her life with you. You've decided to build an empire together. You've decided to build your family together, your kingdom. That's your ride or die queen. If you're not going to commit to dating your wife, you're going to have a marriage like the 99% have, where, it's just they're a roommate with a ring. Really, you end up transitioning into friends, and you don't have an active sexual life. You don't have an emotional connection with the person. And in a lot of cases, 52% of the cases now, the marriages end in divorces. People just simply give up. And in a lot of cases, it wasn't about giving up. It was about stop growing. you have one or two of the people involved in the marriage who are no longer growing. You have one or two of the people that are no longer committed to personal achievement. So it ends up ending. But it's been such a big thing the last 2 years dating my wife. And we've become closer than ever in the last 2 years. And it doesn't cost any money, and it's just time together, putting the phones away. Sometimes we go for a long walk. Sometimes we'll go to lunch. Most of the time we'll go to dinner, and we'll just talk. We'll talk about family. We'll talk about our goals. We'll talk about our dreams. We'll talk about business. We'll talk about our daughter, Emery. We'll talk about where we want to go from here. And a big part of it is just listening to each other and being heard, listening to understand. So, you know, that's why we rarely go to a movie, because we want to listen to each other. We want to speak with each other. But man, that was incredible on Saturday. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. I love badass Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And the story's amazing. Without spoiling it for you, I highly recommend you go and see Air in the theater. And it's a movie you can take your teenagers to see. It's a movie that your queen is going to enjoy. I mean, Matt Damon is a tremendous actor, and he nails this again. And it's just an inspirational, motivational story. I know there's a lot of Hollywood wrapped up in it. There isn't everything. But I didn't worry about that. I just let that go. And I'm a big fan of Phil Knight and everything he's done with Nike. In the story, in the movie, it shows at the time, pre-Jordan, their last place in the shoe business. They only had 11% of the marketplace. Pro athletes, especially basketball players, they didn't want to wear Nike shoes. They didn't want to wear Nike tracksuits. They didn't want anything to do with Phil Knight or the Nike. They thought the swoosh was silly. They thought the product was crap, and they didn't think it was cool. So Converse and Adidas were the kings. They were the market kings, Converse and Adidas. And the movie is about, you know, you think about it at the time, but Sonny, the main character in the movie, played by Matt Damon, he's given a budget to go around and try and sign drafted NBA players to build their basketball brand, to sign deals. He's given a budget of $250,000 to sign 4 or 5 top draft picks out of the NBA draft. And it's amazing. He doesn't have the money to do it. He doesn't have the impact, and the company isn't respected. So it's a total badass contrarian story. So Sonny decides to go all in, and that's why I love the movie. It's all about the Nike principles. If you, after you watch this video, Google the Nike principles. I have these printed on a bulletin board in my office, and they're the Phil Knight principles of Nike, and they're worth your serious study. When he was building Nike, he came up, I think it was like top 10 principles, top 15 principles. Google those and print them off. The Phil Knight Nike principles. These are some really strong principles that have built that company. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, mindset and personal development. We always play offense. We're always on offense, stuff like that. So I love the fact that this show, that Matt Damon, he was always on offense. So they were irrelevant in the marketplace, just like we've all been irrelevant in the marketplace, or whatever niche we're in. We've all been irrelevant at some time. I remember being irrelevant in the insurance industry. I was irrelevant in the hockey industry. I was irrelevant in the barbershop industry. I was irrelevant and completely unknown in the coaching business. When we enter a niche, we're irrelevant. Nobody knows us. So the same thing was Nike. None of these young draft picks wanted to sign with Nike. Plus, he only had 250 grand and they wanted 5 guys. So Sonny stuck his neck out and did, I mean, total badass. He said he went to Knight and he sold this. He sold the idea, right? If he doesn't sell this idea, it doesn't happen. And Nike isn't who Nike is. And he said, you know what, instead of 4 or 5 players, he said, I want to use the 250 grand to go all in, to burn the ships, to take the island, no plan B. And Knight and the rest of the Nike executives are like, are you crazy? Are you insane? You know, like, if we do this, we only have 1 player, and you never know if the player's going to pan out. Just because he's a number 6 pick or a number 5 pick doesn't mean anything. So Converse at the time has Larry Bird, they have Magic Johnson, they have all the big studs in the basketball industry. So he's, you know, Damon's watching video and stuff, and you know, Jordan played for Dean Smith in North Carolina, and he's just watching game tape, and just something speaks to him. It goes back to that, good morning, it goes back to that golden gut intuition that I talk about, where he's got this list of 100 basketball players, but this one player continually speaks to him. It's like this kid from North Carolina, played for Dean Smith. They say he's too small, he's not going to be able to dominate at the pro level like he did in college. He's a guard, he's not a center, which was so popular at the time. He's not going to be, you know, he's not going to be the next Larry Bird, he's not going to be the next Magic Johnson. Lots of question marks. And he just sees it differently. He's like, this kid is so special. He said he is so cool with you know, mentally tough. He's so calm, he's so poised as an 18-year-old. He says, this is the kid we need to sign, and this is the kid we need to go all in on. All in, all the way. And at first, you know, Knight and those guys are like, no fucking way. No way. We're going to spread that money around. We're going to play it safe. And Sonny challenges. He's just an employee. He challenges Knight. And that's how you sell the top dogs, is he said, you know, he challenged Knight. He said, you know, you don't have the balls to do this. You don't have the balls to take on Adidas. You don't have the balls to take on Converse. And he challenged Knight, and he said, you know, back in the day when we started Nike, you would have had the guts to make this deal. You would have insisted on doing this. In fact, he said, these are the types of deals and risks that built Nike. And at that time, they had lost that swagger. They had lost that arrogance. They had lost that confidence. And it was showing. So he knew how to sell Phil Knight. And Sonny put his career in the hand. Like, if this doesn't work out, he's lost his job. A lot of other people have lost their job, and they're probably going to fold the basketball department at Nike because it's just not working. So he goes all in on this one play for Michael Jordan. And it's amazing. He calls up Jordan's agent, who they portray as a major prick in this story, whether it's true, whether it's not true. And he's like, Michael's not even going to take a meeting with you guys. Michael Jordan is not even going to take a meeting with Nike. You guys are clowns. He doesn't like your product. He doesn't like your shoe. He doesn't like your tracksuits. He doesn't want anything to do with you. And Sonny is like, most people would quit, right? Most businessmen and entrepreneurs would quit at no. But not Sonny. He's one of these guys, no means not yet. No means not yet. And he goes, and he just keeps coming. He's like, how much will it take? How much will it take? And the agent finally lets a little bit out of the cat out of the bag, where he's like, well, it's going to take at least $250,000. And he's like, well, that's his total budget he's been given by Nike, right? So he can go all in, but he's going to have to go all in on one player. Plus he wants a car or something like that. It's interesting. That doesn't seem like as much money nowadays. $250,000 in a vehicle to sign with Nike or Adidas or Converse, but this was back in the day. So he goes back to Knight and he sells it. And Knight's like, okay, but we can't get a meeting. So as a badass brother, entrepreneur, what does Sonny do? Doesn't take no for an answer. Like, this movie was a clinic in badass world building. It was a clinic in intuition, in golden gut, in not taking no for an answer, in being relentless. No guts, no story. I could frame this movie in one saying, like I used to tell my hockey players: no guts, no story. No guts, no story. So it was, he realizes they're not going to take a meeting with him. His agent's a prick. He's not going to help them. And he goes and he says, okay, he goes, I'm going to go visit them at their house. And this, even back in that day, that's unheard of, where a shoe agent or a shoe representative goes and knocks on the door. So Michael Jordan's family, they lived in North Carolina. And this is before he's made any money. So Sonny decides to drive to North Carolina. And again, like, Knight doesn't know about this. Nobody knows about this. And Jordan's agent doesn't know about it. So once again, like, the industry not following the rules, not following what the industry does, he goes completely against the grain. So he hops in his car and he drives to North Carolina, and he literally walks in the driveway and introduces himself to Michael Jordan's father. And then he introduced himself to Michael Jordan's mom, who is the decision maker. There it is again. I've recruited for 20 years. You never know. There's always one decision maker. It can be the mom, it can be the dad, it can be the athlete, it can be the grandmother. You never know. So in this case, the mom is not happy that Sonny knocked on their door, but he's so honest and unassuming that he gets a little crack. You know, he talks about what's going to happen with Converse and Adidas, and he's the little guy. He portrays and frames himself as the little guy. It's like David versus Goliath. So they go in the backyard for 5 minutes, and Mrs. Jordan, who is just an amazing lady, but tough as nails, you know, she talks a little bit about raising kids and hard times, and about her son being, you know, special. And then she talks about, you know, what's the difference between Nike and Converse, or Nike and Adidas. And this is where Sonny wins it. You know, he goes and he says, well, I can tell you what's going to happen in both of those meetings. So he does an imitation of the stuffed corporate suits at Converse, and he does an imitation of the stuffed corporate suits at Adidas, right down to the accents, right down to what they're going to say, what they're going to wear. You know, the big corporate stuffed shirts, they never change, right? All no soul, no heart. And he talks, good morning. He does the imitation. And then later on in the movie, of course, when they go to see these people at Adidas and Converse, lo and behold, exactly the same thing. Dressed the same cliches, just slime, you know, just makes you want to shower when you leave the room. So that, you know, he's won over Michael Jordan's mom to a degree. And then he just keeps relenting. He's like, you know, what do it take to get a meeting? And finally, Jordan reluctantly, because of his mom, they said they'll fly out to Nike headquarters and they'll take a meeting. So at least they have a meeting. But Michael's mom says to Sonny, she says he's not happy about this. Michael doesn't want to sign with you guys. He doesn't want to be here. But, you know, she's having a huge impact on this. So, you know, they go and see Converse. They do the presentation. They show a little bit of it. The guys do exactly what Sonny said they would. And then Jordan goes and sees Adidas. They do exactly, you know, the video, the Rolex watches, all the stuff that just makes you, you know, it just makes your skin crawl. And, but the one thing they didn't talk about was legacy. They talked about how Michael Jordan would be, he would be in the same group as Bird and Magic Johnson and guys like that. They never treated him as an individual when they were trying to pitch him at Adidas or Converse. They never talked about his legacy. There's another word. They never talked about his legacy. They said, well, you'll be associated with Larry Bird. You'll be associated with Michael or with Magic Johnson. That kind of talk. And Jordan was like, you know, he knew he was different. So he comes then to the Nike presentation. And one of the big things with that presentation is you have a prospect like Michael Jordan walking in. And he's cold as ice. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't want to sign with Nike, whatever. And you just watch how a guy like Sonny, by being the exact opposite of those cold and corporate companies, how he eventually wins the young man and his parents over with honesty, authenticity, integrity. He's a middle-aged average guy. And he talks like, they start the presentation and, you know, they talk about the new, and they show him the new shoe, which is incredible. It's that high top, white and red Chicago Bulls. He's been drafted by Chicago Bulls high top. It's got the swoosh on it. It's called, and they name it the Air Jordan. The guy who designed the shoe, the wizard behind the shoe, designed it over a weekend, and it was his dream prototype. And Sonny said, build something that nobody else has built before. They even paid they said, we'll pay the $5,000 game fines for having too much red on the shoe. So part of their pitch to Jordan was, we're not even going to worry about the shoe having too much red on it. We're going to pay the $5,000 fine every game as part of your package. Like, totally badass, right? And so they have this shoe that's got all this red on it, and they're wondering, they're like, how can you have that much red on the shoe? And they're like, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna pay the fine for you every single game. So the product, good morning, the product is outstanding, but it just shows you that the product is, good morning, the product's important. Like, it's important that we all have an outstanding product, but it's not the product alone that matters. You can talk about your product all you want and you're still going to be broke. You can have the best mousetrap in the world and you're always just going to be in the mousetrap business. It's when you focus on what the benefit of the product is. In other words, don't focus on the flight, the plane ride, focus on the destination. When you're selling a trip to Hawaii, you don't talk about the airport, you don't talk about the flight there, you don't talk about the lineups in customs, you don't talk about the luggage losses or delays. You talk about the beach, you talk about the cool drinks on the sand, you talk about the sunrises, you talk about the sunsets, you talk about the destination. So I think that's something that was lost on a lot of viewers, good morning, was how Sonny was a grizzled salesman. And he did what Converse and Adidas didn't do. During the pitch, he sold He sold the destination, not the flight. The shoes were the flight. Everybody can build a shoe. Everybody was willing to build a shoe in Michael's image. Everybody was willing to build the product, whatever he wanted. But the Air Jordan was a winner. But here's the thing, and this is the peak, the climax of the show, without spoiling it completely for you. They start to show the video. They're sitting in the boardroom, and they start to show a video like everybody else, just like Nike did, just like Converse, just like everybody else. And Michael Jordan actually put his hand on his face. He was at the end of the table, and I don't know, his body language changed. He shook his head, he looked down, he slumped his shoulders, all the things you see when a person is disinterested or a person is not impressed. And it was, you know, everybody in the room, this same video, who gives a fuck about a video? And all of a sudden, Sonny, his golden gut speaks to him. And he believes in this more than anything before in his life. And he says, turn that off, turn that off. And he turns around and he goes, put up the lights, and they turn on the lights. And he turns to Michael Jordan, and he's just a regular guy dressed in regular clothes, you know, the way Matt Damon can do this. And he turns to Michael Jordan and he talks honestly to him. Maybe the first honest conversation that Jordan's had in 4 years since going to college. You know, he knows he can trust his mom and dad, but outside of that, how would you know, right? And he turns and he talks about legacy. And he talks about significance. And he talks about how everybody in that room will be forgotten 5 minutes after their death. But he won't. He will live forever, not because of money, not because of basketball. He'll live forever because of who he is. Who he is as a player, who he is as a leader, who he is to young people, who he helps, who he serves. And it was a legacy talk. And you could hear a pin drop, right? He talked to Michael Jordan about something that nobody talked to. He didn't talk to him about the 250 grand. He didn't talk to him about the car. He didn't talk to him. He said, they are going to build you up. They are going to build you up as the ultimate global hero. And they're going to tear you down. They're going to do everything they can to tear you down. That's the way. And he said, on the way down is when we lose most people. On the way down, the divorce, or his father being shot, murdered, adversity here, adversity there. And he said, you know, but you're going to make it through all of it. You're going to be the greatest global athlete in history. And it was just an incredible speech that came straight from his heart. And then that ended the meeting. And then they were going to make the decision. And of course, you know, days go by, and the rumor is he's going to sign with Adidas or Converse, and they're going to give him a car and whatever. And then just when in the darkest hour, when they think they've lost, they're going to end up with nobody, no players. Nike, they're going to shut down the basketball program because they put all of their eggs into the Michael Jordan basket. And all of a sudden, Matt Damon, Sonny, gets a call from Michael Jordan's mom. And he's depressed on the phone. He's like, I heard that, you know, Michael's going to Adidas or Michael's going to Converse. And she said, we agree to your deal. We agree to your deal. And Sonny's like, pardon? And she's like, we agree to your deal. And she said, but I need one more thing. She gives him the Columbo, one more thing. Michael Jordan was not raised by any fool. She says, we need a piece of the shoe. We need a percentage of all Nike basketball products, Air Jordan products that are sold forever. This was never done before. And so Sonny says, well, Mrs. Jordan, this has never been done before. We pay the $250. I might be able to get you the vehicle, but that's it. It's just not done. It's just not done. The players don't have a percentage of sales, she said. And then she gave a great speech about how when somebody like this comes along and he's going to change the game of basketball, he's going to change he's going to change everything. She's like, he deserves a piece of that. I always talk about continuity. I'll never be in a business that doesn't have continuity. I'll never be in a business again that doesn't have built-in membership. I had membership in my barber shop. I had continuity in my insurance every month, selling policies renew. Continuity is cash flow. Membership is cash flow. If you're in the jewelry store business, you should have membership set up. If you're in the restaurant business, you should have a membership set up. If you're in the coaching business, boom, membership. Newsletter is membership. Mastermind is membership. It's peace of mind and it's cash flow. So she was asking for probably 5% of all future sales. And remember, they don't even expect this to be anything special. They're not sure if he'll be any better than Charles Barkley. They don't think he might not even pan out, is what they thought. So he goes back to Knight, and this is where the ego comes in. Sonny doesn't go back to Phil Knight and say, man, you know, we got to do this. We got to give 3%. No, he just goes up to Phil Knight and he says, we lost. We lost to Adidas or Converse. I forget which one it was. And he said, they're giving him a piece of the pie, and they're giving him a car. And the car is irrelevant. So is the $250 if you get a piece of the pie and it's successful. The real money is in cash flow. The real money is in continuity. The real money is in renewable assets. So this is how he sold it last. And I think most people miss this again. He didn't go at Knight and say, we need this, we can do this, we can't lose now. He just went to Knight and said, we lost. And you can see Knight's demeanor, his body language. That's what, I read body language. That's all I do all day is read body language on a person. And you can see Knight, his shoulders slump, his breathing goes shallow, he looks down at his feet. The guy's a fucking winner, right? He's a winner. And he just stands up tall and he goes, fuck it, do it. Fuck it, do it. And Damon's like, are you serious? Are you crazy? He goes, this is how we built this company. All in, all the way. Fuck it, do it. Close it. And Sonny's like, are you, he runs down, he calls Mrs. Jordan, he says, we'll do what you, and I don't know whether it was 5% or 3% or 10%, who knows. And to this day, Michael Jordan last year, that percentage that his mom negotiated, I'm sure they've renegotiated many times, it was a 5-year deal to start. Michael Jordan, they estimated he made $400 million last year. $400 million last year from the commission on Air Jordan shoes and merchandise. $400 million last year from that percentage that his mom insisted on. $400 million. So they signed Jordan and they literally revolutionized basketball at the same time because a player has never been given a percentage. His agent was bullshitting. Adidas and Converse did not offer a percentage of sales. They offered the $250 and they offered, good morning, they offered the car. And at the end, Knight was like, I don't care. He goes, I probably messed up basketball, but what the hell? He goes, every player is gonna want a percentage. But then Damon was like, every player is not Michael Jordan. So they went all in, no plan B, burned the boats, and took the island with Michael Jordan. Still, there's no guarantee that he's even gonna pan out. You know, they like their chances. So Damon, a year later, Damon's got a Sports Illustrated in his hand at the convenience store. And Michael Jordan with the last place Bulls has won the the Rookie of the Year. I think he won the scoring title. Through the years, he won Top Defensive Player. He won MVPs. He won multiple NBA championships. He won gold medals with the Dream Teams at the Olympics. There's nothing that Michael Jordan didn't touch that he didn't turn into a championship. And oh my God, what an amazing story. And admittedly, it was a story that I needed to hear. It's amazing how timing in life, like, you know, some days I'm not sure, like, why am I doing this? Why am I, you know, working these hours? Why am I shooting videos at 6 in the morning? Why am I, you know, writing 22-page newsletters? Why? I don't have to do any of this. I'm in a safe harbor financial position. I could just put my feet up here in Florida and just be a dad and be a husband. So, you know, I walk into that movie and I'm just like, you know, those guys, that's my life. That's my life, like going for it, all in. You know, that's how we won a Barclay Cup with our Perth Blue Wings team. We made the deal at the deadline with 3 minutes left, and I gave it to Phil Knight. I told my general manager, I said, fuck it. I said, do it, go all in. And we surrendered like 4 young prospects for 1 player that was a wild card. And that 1 wild card player ended up turning his life around and becoming the playoff MVP. So when Phil Knight says, fuck it, just do it anyways. You know, if it burns it to the ground, so be it. That's how we built this company. I have such respect for renegades and badasses and builders and contenders. And I have such contempt for wimps and cowards and tomato cans and shit weasels and liars. Do nothing bootlickers. Well, I'll tell you right now, Sonny took these corporate bootlickers to the school. You want to talk about taking corporate bootlickers to school. Sonny, the ultimate badass, took these corporate bootlickers to school like never before. And it's a feel-good story, that's for sure. And I highly recommend, good morning, I highly recommend that you watch. I'm gonna go see it again. I'll watch it at home this time. So all in, all the way, all in, all the way. No guts, no story. No guts, no story. If we don't make that trade at the deadline, I'm sitting here and I'm not even mentioning that hockey team. Nobody cares about a second place hockey team. Nobody cares about who was in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about who was in the World Series. Nobody cares about, you know, Michael Jordan if he doesn't win championships, if he doesn't set records. You know, nobody cares about Nike. They didn't even know the name. They called it Nicky. They didn't even know respect. And you know how they got respect? By balls, mental balls. They just swung for the fences. They played offense. I love that quote. We play offense all the time. We're on offense all the time. That's Nike right there. We're on offense all the time. And they noticed just before the Air Jordan, they had become a corporation where they were afraid. They did the politically correct dance. They were, you know, they played not to lose. They were hiding in the fetal position when it came to deals, and they weren't going all in. They were playing defense not to lose. And then Sonny showed them what playing offense looks like, and the rest is history. Michael Jordan, Nike Air Jordan history. So, if you want more leads, if you want more referrals, and you want more consistent cash flow, if you're a new business or you're a small business, then I believe that your #1 priority, it's my #1 priority, needs to be building an email list and mailing that email list. I believe in 2023, there is no greater priority marketing-wise than building an email list and mailing it. That's it. No postcards, no mailing, no videos, no social media, nothing is more of a priority for your small business, for your new business, for your business that has no employees, one employee, whatever it is, then creating an email list. If you have an email list, that's great. Start mailing it. Then this. But here's the challenge, is how do you build a list? What software do you use? And how do you write the emails that sell? I've been doing it for 20 years. I do it 365 days a year. I send you an email 365 days a year. I built my list from 0 to 63,000 emails in the insurance business. I sold that email list separately to the company that bought my agency for 500 grand. So it's an asset that will not only serve you every week, but it will serve you every day, and it will serve you when you finally decide down the road to walk away into the sunset. There's no value in computers or furniture. There's no value in any of that stuff. But their equity is in your list, and there's nothing more powerful than your email list. There's nothing more valuable than your email and your mailing list. So you're building your big payday as well. But if you are like me and you need leads and you need referrals and you need consistent cash flow, how the hell are we going to pay taxes and employees? How are we going to grow our business? How are we going to send thank you cards? How are we going to afford an executive assistant? How are we going to mail newsletters to our customers? How are we going to do direct mail? How are we going to do any of this stuff if we don't have cash flow? Build an email list and email it. That will provide you with all the leads you need, all the referrals you need, and all of the cash flow that you need to scale your business. I took all of the cash flow that I made in the insurance business when I was almost underwater, and I used that, and I took that to buy flyers. And that's how I was able to start with 500 flyers and then get to 1,000 flyers a month, then get to 5,000 flyers. And I ended up mailing 140,000 flyers a month. Well, guess where that money originally came from? The first thing I did in the insurance business was handwritten thank you cards and emailing. I started a list from 0, and I built it every day, another 5 people, another 10 people. And I built that list from 0 to 100 and good morning, to 63,000 people when I sold the business. I was able to press a button, sit down, write an email once a week to my email list, press a button, and I would be swamped in leads. I'd be swamped in referrals. I'd be swamped in cash flow. And I remember I was underwater. I wasn't able to make my payments to my dad. And it was my Hail Mary. It was my Doug Flutie play. I was like, I'm screwed. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have money to market. I don't have money to pay my employees. I don't have any cash flow to pay my dad $30,000 a month. And then my Doug Flutie Hail Mary was email marketing. So that's why I'm starting up an email marketing mastermind. And it's gonna run this year from June to June. And it's for small business owners, solo entrepreneurs, one-man shows, two-man shows. It's for small business owners, entrepreneurs. Your business can be small, it can be a beginning business. It can be a mid-sized business. It can be a jewelry store, a car wash, a pizzeria, an insurance agency. It could be a gym. It could be a butcher shop. It could be a retail store. You could be a coach like me. You could be in the real estate business. You could be an investor. But I'm going to teach you, first of all, the software to use and then how to gradually build your list from 0. If you have a big list like Bill Gaw and David Linton and guys like that, Stephen Ivanko and Paul Nolte and my champ, those guys have lists. That's even better. But if you're like me and you start at 0 in every business, I'm gonna show you how to get 25 people, then 50 people, then 75 people, and in a year, over 1,000 people on your list. and I'm gonna write the emails for you over the next year. That's part of the mastermind. It's only a mini mastermind. We're gonna meet. I'm gonna do a training for 90 minutes a month. So I'm gonna pick a date and I'll record it, but 90 minutes a month, I'm gonna teach you the insider secrets I've learned over the last 20 years of email. So eventually you can do this on your own. But in the meantime, I'm gonna hand everything to you, soup to nuts. I'm gonna hand you my software. I'm gonna show you the emails to send, why we're sending them. So I'm gonna write an email a week for the next 52 weeks starting in June, and I'll send it to you. You take that exact email and you personalize it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops, don't change it, and send it to your list. Start sending it to your list. Doesn't matter if your list has 25 people on it. Eventually it'll have 500. Then it'll have, I'll give you the sales scripts, the scripts for you to use, your receptionist to use, whoever, to capture more emails. I'll show you how I captured more emails by direct mail, mentioning it places in my business. And then I'm gonna write an email for you every week that you take and tweak, and then you press send. And into your business comes some leads, sometimes some referrals, and almost always cash flow. The first email I ever sent to a list of 100 people in the insurance business saved me from bankruptcy. I made $2 grand because of sending an email to 100 people. I sold a couple of high-end policies and I netted $2,000, and it saved my bacon. I was completely underwater. I wasn't gonna be able to make my obligations financially, and email saved me. So I'm selling that this month. It's called emailmillions.coach. So go to emailmillions.coach. Yes, coach. And you can sign up there for the 12-month mastermind. Now, I wasn't sure what I was gonna charge, $1,000 a month or $500 a month. And then I was talking with my dad and he said, you gotta help these men through what's coming. He calls it Depression 2.0. My dad and mom lived through the Depression. They're 89 years old. And they said something's coming like we've never seen in our lifetime. Not a recession. He's called his shot. He said in the next few months, the next few years, could be 3, could be 5 years, he goes, we're gonna be paying the piper. We eventually have to pay the piper. We can't just keep printing money. So he said recession or depression 2.0 is coming. And he said, teach them that what you did in our business, which was sending a plain text email every week to our list and having cash flow and leads, no matter what the economy. So if you're worried about the economy, if you're not sure how to market, you don't have enough money to market, you don't have enough leads, you don't have referrals, and you don't have an asset to sell, eventually when you sell your company, sign up at emailmillions.coach. And you can cancel at any time. We go by the month. I'm not gonna charge $1,000 or $500. What I decided is I'm gonna charge $147 a month. That's it, a month. So you get 4 emails written for you for $147. If you asked me to write you an email, I would charge you 10 grand, and I wouldn't do it. So think about that, $147 for civilians and outsiders. And then it's even better for my newsletter brothers and my mastermind tribes, my champions and my world builders, $97 a month for them, just $97. So if you're not a client, you're not a customer, $147 a month. And if you are an insider, $97 a month. That's one sale. And I'm writing 4 emails per month. Are you kidding me? Plus you get to rub shoulders with my champions. Every champion is in this. The Bill Gauze, the Stephen Ivankos, the Paul Noltes, the David Littons. You don't think that's worth $147 a month to meet those guys, to associate with those guys, to talk to those guys? And then we'll have a whole bunch of our world builder masterminds in there, I would expect. And I would expect we'll have a whole bunch of our newsletter kings in there as well. So it's a mastermind that's totally affordable for anybody. Not $147 a month, you spend that on coffee and drinks. $97 a month, you spend that on just coffee. And I'm gonna write the emails for you. And the return on investment, the potential return on investment on this, 5 times, 10 times, 25 times, or maybe 200 times. Like, what happens if you send an email to your list in 6 months and you end up getting a $10,000 sale or a $40,000 sale or a $100,000 sale? Was it worth the $97 a month? Was it worth the $147? Now, I don't care whether you join the program or not. It doesn't change my life at all. I'm not gonna move from Naples to Orlando because you didn't sign up. I'm not gonna move from Naples to Jacksonville because you didn't sign up. I'm not gonna start driving a little electronic clown car because of the fact you didn't sign up for this. This is affordable. If you don't do it, it's not because you can't afford it. It's because you think you're gonna do it on your own. So do it on your own. I don't care whether you join the program or not, but here's the thing. Regardless, start this. It's the #1 priority. It's your #1, #2, and #3 marketing priority, is starting an email list, building an email list, and emailing it at least once a week. I do it 7 days a week, but I'm gonna write the emails so you can do it once a week, which I did in the barbershop, I did it in the insurance business, I did it in the hockey business, and I did it in the consulting business. So I don't talk a good game, I play a good game. This is what I do. This is my #1 priority. So with that said, I don't care if you join or not, but make sure that one way or another you do this. You build an email list and you email it. It's the 8th wonder of the world. It's the honey that brings in the money. And if you want help with it being done, if you want my personal coaching, and you want me to write these emails for you as part of the group, part of the tribe, then register at emailmillions.coach. That's emailmillions.coach. Any issues, email my executive assistant, Leanne Brennan. Her email's below, leanne@badassmillionaire.com. It is the honey that brings in the money. Email marketing is the 8th wonder of the world. It fuels the rest of your print media. It fuels your ability to send newsletters, send flyers, send postcards, test YouTube ads, whatever it is you're doing. It is the honey that brings in the money. That's it for today. Check out that movie, Air. I really enjoyed that, and I'm gonna watch that again. I'm so, if you're not dating your queen, now's the time. It's not date night, it's dating your wife. Leaving her notes, surprising her, you know, telling her you respect her for certain reasons, loving her, complimenting her, you know, every day finding something that you love and respect and telling her about. Could be a text, it could be a post-it note, it could be, you know, face-to-face, it could be an email, it could be like every day find something that you genuinely respect about your wife, your queen, and tell her, and then date your wife. You know, like there's no success in business that can ever overcome failure in the home. There is no success in business that can compensate for failure in the home. Date your wife. Emailmillions.com. Email Millions, the honey that brings in the money. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.